Hi everyone. So now let's recall parabolas. Look at all these beautiful parabolas we have. We have our roller coaster. We can see parabolas in art. Actually, we can even see somewhat of a parabola in the moon, buildings. Look at that iceberg. Even when we talk about the water, um, these beautiful fountains, the water they're shooting out actually is the shape of a parabola. And the parabolas can be found everywhere in nature. So thank you for all of the pictures that I found online. But remember, we graphed parabolas. And for the last couple of days, we've been completing the square to solve equations of quadratic functions. And we know the graph of a quadratic function is a parabola. So I want to teach you how to put an equation in vertex form so that you can graph it. Now, we can graph things in standard form, but we can use the concept of completing the square to put an equation in vertex form. Now, let's recall vertex form of a parabola is y equals a x minus h squared plus k. Now, remember, from this, we can see that the vertex is hk. And we always we change the sign of h, we keep the sign of k. A tells me if it opens up, the parabola opens up or down. And it also tells me if it's narrower or wider than the parent function. And from there, we can graph. So let me show you how to do that by completing the square. It's using the same process. So you are able to take an equation that is in standard form and put it into vertex form by completing the square. Now, the first thing that we have to do is we actually don't set it equal to 0. We leave it as a function y equals x squared minus 8x plus 11. Now, we do bring the constant to the other side, but we leave it with the y. So I'm going to subtract 11 to the other side. And so now I have x squared minus 8x. I take half of 8, which is 4, and I square it, which gives me 16. And I add 16. Now, whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other, so I'm going to add that 16 over with that 11. Now I simplify. So I get y, let me back a second, I made a mistake. 16 and 11 is going to give me a positive 5 equals. I turn this perfect square trinomial into the square of a binomial, so x minus 4 squared. And then the last step would be to subtract the 5 to the other side. So now I have an equation, a quadratic equation in vertex form. And my h is 4, my k is 5, so my vertex is 4, negative 5. So that's how you put an equation, a quadratic equation, into vertex form, from standard form into vertex form. All right, now I want you to try. So here's your equation, x squared minus 2x minus 9. So press pause, try it, and then come back. All right, so you're back. So what you should have done is added the 9 to the other side, completed the square by taking half of 2 and squaring it, which was 1, and then adding that to the other side, simplifying to y plus 10 equals, turning this into the square of a binomial, so x minus 1 squared, and then subtracting 10 to get it in vertex form. So y equals x minus 1 squared minus 10. Now that it's in vertex form, I can see that this parabola opens up and the vertex is 1, negative 10. All right, I'm going to do one more. The reason I'm going to do one more is I'm going to do one where the coefficient is not 1. Still an easy process. We just got to remember to do that most important thing. So first, we're going to subtract the 100 to the other side. Okay, I did that. Now I'm going to factor out the 5. So I'd be left with n squared plus 6n. I take half of 6, which is 3, and I square it, which is 9. So I'm going to add 9. But remember, what I have to add to the other side is 5 times 9, which is 45. So I'm going to add 45. Now I'm going to simplify. So that's going to give me y minus 55 equals 5. We turn this into the square of a binomial. So n plus 3, quantity squared. And I'm going to add 55 to the other side. So my equation is y equals 5, n plus 3 squared plus 55. All right, now my a in front tells me that it's going to be narrower than the parent graph, and that my vertex is negative 355. And that's how you put a standard form quadratic into vertex form, by completing the square. Have a great night.